Good morning, everybody. So it's the beginning of the week. It's at 8:37 a.m. Here in Maryland, and currently I've got my big fat cat on my lap. Yep, that is still happening. Always does this every morning, apparently. Anyways, he's real cute, but so hopefully he's not too much of a distraction. Anyways, so the markets haven't really done much in the last week or so. I know August is a bit slow, and that's standard. A lot of the banks and institutions are on holiday, and so the liquidity and the volume, all that kind of stuff is pretty flat. There hasn't been a lot of action, and it's interesting because a lot of my candle setups, so my triggers for my entries, just didn't happen. And so I was pretty much out of the market entirely. As you can see, this whole area, I didn't have any trades. The only trades I had last week were these two. That was just one basket, and I was very happy. It was a very, good looking basket, and it closed out. Right now I have this setup, inside candle setup, kind of strange. Usually I like them to be at a new lower point, but there was no inside candle down here. It shot it back up, went back down, inside candle setup here. Not the best setup, but so far it's working out. But this one, or these two, were taken on all of my accounts that I'm managing right now. Right now, totaling $178,000 that I'm working with. So it's a combination of my $9,500 that I have at Oanda, with a new scalping strategy that I'm currently testing. So far it's bringing me $34 in the last 2 days. And the $125,000 that I'm managing for a friend, and then the $24,000 that I'm trading for Maverick, and then on top of that, the $18,000 that I'm managing for another friend. So today I'm going to give you just a little bit more of an update on how those are all looking. Since these two trades were taken, I did have a small gain last week, but that was about it. And so far, the only trade that I've had so far this week was the LMFX account. This is only on this account for some reason. I wasn't taking on any of my Oanda accounts. And so far it's working out pretty well, but I don't know. Just have to see how it pans out. So no other trades on any of the other accounts yet. Just hanging tight, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with waiting, and I'd rather not be trading if an opportunity doesn't manifest itself to me. For example, if I go to forexsignals.com, and I mentioned in my last video real briefly that there's a competition that's always going on. So if you want to if you think you're a good trader and you want to try to get some prize money, this is what you can try to do. Now, as you can see, there's not too many of us that are profitable this month. There's only five of us traders that are in the competition that are actually profitable. And so the numbers aren't that great. So that's 5 traders out of 27 that are currently trading. Well, there's also 27, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, 3. So 33 traders that are currently active in this competition, and only 5 of us are profitable. Now, that is not a very good percentage. And I guess if we were looking at the total percentage, it's like, if I was averaging out, I know this is not going to be exact, but it's about 15% or so of traders in this competition are actually profitable, at least this month. And that kind of goes to saying that in reality, you know how they say 90% of retail traders lose. Well, that's pretty stinking close. I mean, we're talking about, at least in this month, we're talking about 85% of traders are losing. And I really do think that 90%, what people say, 95%, is actually is the truth. And it's an unfortunate reality. That's one reason why I'm doing this video for you guys, or this video series for you, is to try to help you in being that 10, maybe 15% that are actually profitable. So how to avoid issues or losing months like August? Well, you should understand a couple things. One, low volatility in volume in the market, just in general, for August, because the institutions typically are out on holiday, and August has always been a low month for liquidity in the market. So that's one thing that you should know. So why does that make a difference in you knowing that? Well, for one, maybe it will cause you to trade less because there'll be less opportunity. Or two, just stay out of the market in general. Or maybe try a strategy that works in a maybe more lower volatility, a volatile market. Maybe like a scalping strategy or something. But my best advice to you guys is to just stay out of the market instead of trying to search for profitable trades, because that will just result in losses. That's similar to what happened with my buddy just this past week. My strategy was in trading, and this was my strategy up until he traded. And he was saying that I don't think I'll take any manual trades myself. You can see that pretty much every single closed trade was in profit up until this moment where he took a trade and ended up losing. I don't really know why he took the trade. Maybe he just thought it was a good opportunity. But what I suspect, and hopefully he's okay with me saying this if he's watching, that I suspect that he maybe took this trade because he was getting maybe a little restless, or thinking that, well, Ryan hasn't made, his expert advisor hasn't made any profit for me this week. Maybe I'll jump out and try my luck with a trade, see what happens. And then this is the result. Trying to make trades that are either not tested, a strategy that's not tested, don't know it works, and in a very odd, misbehaving market. And this is what has resulted, at least on his one trade. Now, luckily, it wasn't more than one, but when you come to places like Forex Signals and their competition, you'll see that so many traders are struggling with this same thing, making trades out of nothing, or changing their strategies to try to adapt to this odd market this month. So far, it just has been kind of a mess. So just be careful and look and have good, realistic expectations on what the market truly is. That have you ever stopped to think why 90% of the retail traders that you know and see are losing? And if they say that they're profiting or have a profitable strategy, most likely they're either lying or they just happen to have a profitable month that week or that month, and then they'll go back to a losing trader. Once you start thinking about why the majority loses, then I think it should help you in becoming that 10% that's profitable. So where do you start with that? Well, one, maybe you found my blog or my video blog for a reason, and that's because you were already searching for that. That truth of why so many people lose. Well, it's because my simple definition or explanation for that is that they're all following each other. So trader 1 says he has a profitable strategy. Trader 1 shares that or sells that strategy to trader 2. Trader 2 and trader 1 now are losing traders, and the process goes on and on. So all these techniques that people were taught, traders were taught by other traders, profitable strategies or techniques, they're either outdated or they are just losing. They just plain old lose. And that could be because a combination of the strategy, but it also could be it's a combination of the strategy and the money management, the risk management, and the brokers out there too. They don't help the situation because they want you to lose your money as fast as possible. So whatever good strategy you have is wasted because a broker wants you to trade at high volume, and you go for it because it's so easy to do so. If you think you have a good strategy, why not trade it at 10 times the risk to make 10 times the profit? That's just not how you should approach trading, and that's why the majority loses. Trading is not easy because of how much we have to fight the opposition. Why it would be so much easier to just find a standard trader and basically do the opposite of what that trader is doing. Most likely you'd actually be a long-term winner. If there was a trader that was constantly losing all the time, which is 90% of the traders out there, and you just traded the opposite, then you would likely be a profitable trader. But how do you do that? Well, you just have to start thinking a little differently. I mean, like the strategies that I do, that I'm showing you here in my videos, are some people may consider unethical or just dangerous or bad because I'm using all these techniques that go against what a standard trader is taught. Take trades with the trend. Make sure that your winners are larger than your losers. Make sure your money management is 5-to-1 or some kind of ridiculous type of guidelines that you are supposed to follow, when every single trader that loses follows the same guidelines. So in a way, I'm actually doing exactly the opposite of what other traders are doing. There are some out there that trade similar to what I do, but the majority trade the same way, with the trend, looking for large gains and small losses, and getting emotional about it, because if they have 10 losing trades in a row, they have to have either a bigger trade to make up for those losses, or they risk more. A lot of times it's a combination of the two. So a stream of 10 losses turns into a stream of 11 losses with just one extra loss, but that 11th loss is like 10 more of your standard losses, and it just goes from bad to worse, and really quickly. It's because you don't have control. I mean, you have control, but you don't at the same time. And when I say you have control, it's because you can do whatever you want in your trading, but do you have the control to the mental capacity or control to work with that control that you're given? If that makes sense. And that's the hardest thing, is knowing what's right, because if you have a stream of 10 losses, that 11th loss could have been a profitable trade that made up for all those past 10 losses and more, potentially. And that's the thing that goes on in your head. Let's say you have 10 losses in a row, and you're thinking, well, I've had so many losses in a row that this next one must be a win, right? Or my chances are high for this one being a win. No, the law of averages doesn't work that way. It can still just be a loss no matter what. You can have another 10 losses in a row. So that 11th trade is just the same likelihood of losing, and putting more risk on it just is not a smart thing to do. Although it makes sense to you at the time because you think that it could make up for all those past losses. So here you are becoming emotional about it because of those 10 losses that you had in a row. You don't know how to handle that. We all go through it. My last one happened in November of 2016. I had a 60% loss. One of the biggest losses I've had, the biggest loss I've had in 3 years. It was all by accident. It was an accident that happened. I know you're probably wondering, for those of you guys that are just watching my stream for now, how is it an accident? Well, not to give you the rundown of what happened was the November election. I had a scalping robot on, and that scalping robot is pretty high risk, but it was pretty solid. It's a solid technique and strategy if it's turned off or shut down during high political events or volatile political events or fundamental analysis or fundamental events as well. So it's important that that is not used during those times. I accidentally left it on when I left my house to go to a friend's house, and my expert advisor was just going in the background and basically blew 60% of my account. There was no real good way for me to control that since it was an hour drive to my friend's house. I couldn't really shut off my internet because I had trades in by the time I figured out that I left on my expert advisor. Ended up losing 60% of my account. So where did I go from there? At that point, I kind of started trying to reevaluate my trading. I also mentioned this in my previous videos. So go back into my previous videos and you'll see to November of 2016, and you should be able to see when this happened and how I announced it to all of my followers at the time on forexsignals.com. It was a pretty big ordeal. It was really tough to do that in front of an audience. It was not fun by any means. But yeah, that big loss. I was trying to decide if I wanted to continue trading, if I should just give it up. What am I going to do about the community? My reputation was ruined, all that kind of stuff. So I took a month break. I stopped trading at Forex Signals and the community there, and kind of just went off on my own to, I guess, find myself. So I took a month break and started doing a lot of research on fundamental analysis, and there was an interest rate coming out in December. I think it was December or January. So there was the U.S. interest rate change in prediction. So I decided that I was going to trade that. It wasn't just for any random reason. The reason why I decided to trade it because I felt like I had an edge over what to expect from that because of how much research I was doing on it. And I decided to go a little bit crazy with it and took a high-risk trade. Just one high-risk trade. I knew what the outcome could be if I wasn't controlled in that position. But I was thinking, all right, if I've lost 60% of my account, what bad could it be if I lost another 5%? Well, I was emotional during that time. Still, even a month after, knowing that I lost that 60%. But I wanted to make some of that 60% back on my personal account because it was just so devastating to me. It was wrong. I ended up coming out with 30% profit on that one trade, but I wasn't too happy about it because I approached it incorrectly. Yes, the information that I had on the FOMC statement, interest rate change, I felt like was pretty solid, but I took way too much risk on it. It was not deserving of the 30% gain that I got on that trade. And so I ended up making almost half my loss back on that one trade. Some of the community knew about it, that I did that. I'm not sure if anybody actually was copying my position at the time on that or not, but it worked out. But that doesn't happen very often to any of us, right? We are more likely when we make decisions like that because of the risk that we put on it. I can say that the idea behind the trade was solid. From my research that I did, I felt like was really solid, but the risk is where I went wrong, and that's why the entire trade was bad. Was because of that. I've moved on since then, and haven't done something like that since. But it's hard not to. It's hard not to make that decision because we have the access to our risk management on our accounts, where I could just change this to 0.01 lots to 1 lot in a second. And having that control is just, it's overwhelming. So I encourage you guys to search for a strategy that has realistic expectations. Don't fall into the trap, the 90% trap, what everybody else is doing. That's why I encourage you guys to start thinking on your own. Don't go to the forums, reading and finding strategies that people look up. If somebody says, "Oh, I've got this profitable technique, this profitable strategy," and they're on a Forex thread, just because they're profiting with it doesn't mean that you're going to. Who knows if they're lying either as well, or they just had a profitable month or a profitable 2 months, and things are currently working out for them, but they haven't tested their strategy over the longer term, and they don't know how, or they're naive enough to think that it's going to continue working. You guys have to start thinking about techniques that other people are not doing. Like counter trend trading, for example. Not that many people are counter trend trade, and that's what I pretty much do exclusively. Why? Because I find it to be more profitable than trend trading. And the reason for that is because most people seem to think that trend trading is profitable when it's that's just not true. Or they think it's more profitable to trade with the trend. And I just find that not to be the case. I find that range and counter trend trading are just, there's more opportunity there. And exactly the reason, another reason for that is because nobody's really doing it. I'm doing the opposite of what other traders are doing. Haven't you always ever thought that if I would have just traded in a different direction on that one position, I would have made a really profitable trade? If I would have just done the opposite of what I've already done. I hear that so many times from traders, thinking that if they just traded the opposite of what they typically think, then they would be a profitable trader. And that's actually true, because 90% of you guys lose if you just did what you think is typical. Then you would start potentially profiting. So if you want to take a long position somewhere, think about taking a short position. I challenge you to do that. Whatever you think you should do, just do the opposite and experiment with that. I mean, I'm not saying that that is going to be your new strategy, is just do the opposite of what you typically do. I think that's too mindless. There needs to be more of a strategy or a sense of what you're actually doing in the market. And yes, that will be maybe a fun experiment to do. But it may teach you that maybe the ideas that you're typically using. Sorry, there goes my Alexa again. The ideas that you're typically using just are not that good. So I urge you guys to try to rethink what you're doing, because I think it could be beneficial to you. All right, let's see how long I've been going for. I've been going for about 25 minutes. I'm going to go for another 5 minutes. And the reason why, I'm going to try to keep my videos a little bit shorter. In the future, after this video, I'm going to be doing anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes on my next videos. I won't be doing any more hour-long long videos. It's just too long, and I want to make sure that people are not having to sit in front of their computers all day. And I found out also that the majority of my viewers watch 10 to 20 minutes of my videos. So that's why I'm going to keep them a little bit shorter. Alright, so community questions. Just a couple that were on the last video that I posted. So Harley has mentioned about his EA, the expert advisor that he's using, and that's the one that you can see. Oh, that's not that right here. So you can see how recently it's been taking a dip, and he said that it sounds like he's going to reevaluate the expert advisor because he's in a bit of a loss right now. I'm sorry, Harley, that happened. You know, sometimes these expert advisors can recover. This could shoot back up and break its, break the high. But you just never know, because you don't know how the strategy works. Retail EAs never disclose how the complete strategy works, which is a pretty big weakness. So community, so CV also was mentioning about how to create an expert advisor. He was saying he didn't want to share the expert advisor that he wants to make of my strategy, but he wants to make it and try to have it coded by a coder on mql5.com. And he was asking about the prices and for creating an EA and also modifications. Yes, you do have to pay for the expert advisor. Typically, I would shoot for like a $50 to maybe $100 price tag for this particular expert advisor. It depends on how many options you have on it. If you want to make changes to it, you will have to pay the coder or another coder to make changes. The minimal fee that you can have on MQL5 for an order for a coder to do is $10. So you can make small orders for modifications. I have spent quite a few $1,000s on my expert advisors, and this on my EA, I've had about 10 different versions of it. So a lot of different versions, trying to test new techniques, new modifications to make it more profitable. And also thank you, CV, for your comment up here at the top as well. Yeah, I mentioned about my previous experience, my loss in November, because I think that I haven't mentioned that in a while, and it's important to be transparent. Yes, I am managing over $178,000. I think it's about 179 of my own funds and others. But I don't plan to go on a big scale. For one, the CFTC and the NFA do not allow me to advise any more than 15 friends or family. Right now, I'm advising two friends and 2 close friends. Not advertising myself for trading signals or anything like that, because that is not allowed. I can't advertise myself to other people that I'm trading managing accounts, unless I am a CTA, commodity trading advisor. I'm still considering that for the future, but at this moment I still want to try to do this independent, because I know that a lot of you guys out there are wanting to do the same thing. So it's important that I try to do that for myself. At least try to work out this independent before I bite the bullet and go through the CTA route and start managing more commercial accounts. So this has been quite a road. I need a little bit more money to actually make this work. So I'm close. I'm getting close, guys. Right now I have $9,338 on my Oanda account. So that's almost $10,000 there. That's personal. That's my money, personal money. And then I have the 24,377 that I'm currently trading at Maverick. Now, the start of next month, so September 1st, they should, and this will be the testament to see how Maverick works, they should give me a $20,000 upgrade. So that will make my account over $44,000. Now, if you guys remember, I need to be at about $50,000 to make profiting work close to a full-time job. So if I'm receiving, I can receive 3 to 5% per month. So let's say that my highest expectation is 5%. So if I'm trading $44,000, 10% would be well, 4,400. So half of that, 2,200. So this is what I would be sitting on for potential profit expectation for the month. That's typically the highest that I would probably receive, is 2,200. And I have to pay some fees on top of that. So if we go to the Maverick, you'll see that the 40,000, which would be level 3, which is where I would be, I get to keep 75% of the profits there. So I have a monthly fee of 200, and then they get, well, actually they take off the top, so it would be 2,200. And well, let's see if I can do the math in my head. So they would minus, I'm just going to do 20% for the hell of it. So 400 and 220 times 2. Oh shoot. Okay, I'm going to do this again. I'm all under pressure now. So it would be $440 is what I would minus off the top if they were taking 20%. I'm pretty sure I did that right. And also the fee. So there's a $200 fee a month that I'm doing. So that's what I would come out with. Not quite I mean, it's going to be a little bit more than that since I deducted 20% and I'm actually keeping 75. So it would be slightly less than, slightly more than that wherever my calculator went. So that's not quite a monthly income. I still need probably closer to 60 to 70K to really get a monthly income out of it, which would be roughly, I would say, depending on where you live, about $2,500 is closer to where you would want to be for a passable monthly income. But for me, a standard monthly income would be around $3,000 to $5,000. So that would take a good $75,000 to maybe $80,000 account. So it's going to take level 4 for me to really be at that mark. So that's going to be another 2 months before I can actually get to the level 4 mark or level. And then once I'm at that stage, then I should be bringing enough in to live off of trading profits if I'm having, well, a profitable month. All right, so sorry for my embarrassing calculator moment. I sometimes have issues with numbers. I'm a musician, so math isn't my strongest point, but that's why we have calculators and things like that to help out. But it's, again, you don't need to be a really extremely good at math to be a good trader, and I hope that I've proven that. Alright, so that's pretty much where I wanted to end with you guys today, and we'll go from there. I hope to see you guys on my next videos later on this week. My composition for the documentary is going well. I'm still spending quite a bit of time with that. And hopefully next time I can talk a little bit more about some profitable trades, since we haven't had a lot of those in the past week or so. Have a great rest of the week, guys, and I'll see you next time.